say to me in Bowers Game
YouTube, I'm back again for another How to Play video, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Uno Party. This is for 6 to 16 players, ages 7 plus. And the first thing you're going to want to do is take all of the Uno Party cards, which will have a back like this, shuffle them up, and deal every single player 7 cards. So right now I have a 6-player game set up. You're then going to flip the top card of the deck over. You're going to place the clockwise or counterclockwise card to clockwise to start off the game. Place that in the center, and then place these 2 links right next to that card. Now, if the card you happen to flip over is some sort of action card, then just keep flipping over cards until you get a number. The player to the left of whoever dealt is going to go first, and now you're ready to start. So on your turn, you're going to try and get rid of all the cards that are in your hand by playing 1 card onto the discard pile, just like normal Uno. Now, to play a card from your hand, you have to look at the discard pile and either match the top card's color, number, symbol, or play a wild card, which will have a black back. Now, if you can't or don't want to play a card from your hand, you can just draw the top card from this pile right here. And if it can be played, you could play it. But once you play or draw a card, it moves to the next player, and this card right here will show you which direction you're going. Now, if you ever play a card and only have 1 card left in your hand, you need to yell Uno as fast as you can. If someone else yells out Uno before you do, you have to draw 2 additional cards into your hand. And that's the basic game of Uno, but now we're going to focus on what all the different action cards do and the brand new rule that Uno Party introduces. And the new rule is called speed play. And what it means is if you ever have a number card that matches both the number and the color of the card that was just played, you can play it even when it's not your turn, as long as you do it before the next player goes. Now, if you do the speed play correctly, that also counts as you taking a turn, so the player next to you, either clockwise or counterclockwise, is the next player to go. Now, if you ever accidentally play a non-matching card as you're trying to speed play, you must take back that card plus draw 1 card from the draw pile. And if you speed play, you still have to yell Uno, like normal. But now let's talk about the different action cards in the game. So first we have skip, which will skip the next player in whatever direction you're going on. Next, we have the Wild Drawn Together card. When you play this card, select 2 players and place a link in front of both of those players. Then, since this is a wild card, you're going to choose whichever color is going to come next on the pile. But moving forward, every time one of the 2 linked players has to draw cards, the other player has to draw the same amount of cards. If you play this card and 2 people are already linked, then you must choose 2 new players. And these link cards take effect until someone plays a point taken card, which we'll talk about right now. So if you play a point taken card by matching either the color or symbol, you count down out loud, 3, 2, 1, and then on 1, all players point at one other player, and then you count how many fingers there are pointing at each person. And then in turn order, each player must draw as many cards as they have fingers pointed at them. And to clarify, if you were linked together and then someone played this card, your links would go back to the center before anyone points at anyone else. Next, we have the Wild Draw 4 card. So this card matches anything, so you can play it no matter what card is on the discard pile. However, there's a catch. You can only play a Wild Draw 4 if you do not have any card in your hand that matches the color of the discard pile. So when this card gets played, the next player actually has 2 options. They can either draw 4 cards and just lose their turn, or they can do what's called challenging. If a player challenges you, you must show them your entire hand to confirm whether you have a card that matches the color of the discard pile. If you do not have a card that matches the color on the discard pile, the challenger draws 6 cards instead of 4 and still loses their turn. However, in this scenario, where I do actually have a red I could have played, I would have to draw 4 cards and they would draw none and then get their turn. Next, we have the standard wild card, which just means you get to pick what the color is for the next player. Draw 2, which means the next player has to draw 2 cards and lose their turn. Reverse, which means you just flip over this card in the center, and the player that's going to go next is whichever direction the arrows are pointed. Last but not least, we have the Wild Pile-Up card. And when you play this card, take the top card from the draw pile and place it face up in front of you to create a mini pile. Now, if you happen to flip up a wild card, keep flipping cards until you get a non-wild card. And once you do, the next player in turn order must play a card of the same color. Now, wild cards count, but do not change the color, and any matching action cards may be played, but do not take the effect. So in this scenario, we're going to go counterclockwise. This player would then play a yellow 8, and this player could then play a yellow 6, and then this player does not have a yellow, which means, boom, they have to take this whole pile into their hand. And you continue in normal turn order with whatever color this player picked. And in the scenario that everyone plays a card on the top of this pile, then it gets back to the original player. If they don't have a color that matches, then yes, they can still collect those cards as well. First player to get rid of all their cards wins the game. Now, if you want to keep score, when a player wins a hand, they receive points based on the cards remaining in their opponent's hands. All numbered cards give you the same number of points as whatever number's on the card. Any colored action cards are going to be worth 20 points. And any black-backed wild action cards are going to be worth 50 points. And you just keep a running tally of each player's points from hand to hand. And when a player reaches 500 points, they're the winner. But that's how you're going to play Uno Party. If this helped you out, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing or potentially supporting the Patreon as I teach new games all the time. But go have some fun, and thanks for your time, YouTube. This video is brought to you by all of my amazing Patreon supporters, and I would love it if you would join their ranks and have your name immortalized in the end of many of my videos for the end of time. But consider for only $1 a month, and as always, thanks for stopping by.